assalamu alaikum, ji ayanu, pakhair agale, ni hama, chunashume, washmale, ohio, gonzaimus, guten morgen, privet, and hi, hugs and hellos to everybody who's tuned into PT World and are watching World this morning alongside Shazad Khan and Iram Saeed. Hello Iram, how are you? Good morning.
Wonderful, thank you. Good morning to you as well.
Thank you very much for
what
that.
a foggy morning today.
Oh, it is like that outside.
Almost zero visibility.
And I think that can be our public service message as well from this platform, that it's very foggy outside, the visibility is very low. So if you guys are going to go out, please make sure that you drive very safely, because you really have to be vigilant on the road. I mean, if you're not, then and you have to look after all those people who are crossing the roads as well, because over here in Pakistan, we do not need zebra lanes to probably cross the road as well. So make sure that you have this in your head, that there can be anybody right next 10 meters, I think. That's how visible it is outside. So please make sure that you drive very safely if you're driving your kids towards schools or universities, or you're going to your office, because your loved ones are waiting at home.
And no road rage, please. Definitely not today. So please take a deep breath before you start driving. Say your Ayatul Kursi, say whichever prayer you say in order to get to work safely or wherever it is you need to go, and just stay calm.
See, that's what the best part is, that how many days that you are here in Pakistan now? Finally, 2 months?
2 months now.
And that there's quite a lot of road rage going on outside on the streets and roads as well.
I'm guilty of it myself.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that, half of the time, I don't want to say that, but then, okay, I'll say it. So all of those women drivers over here in Pakistan, I don't know, they've got a bad image. I'm not saying that.
You are totally in minority today. I would not go there, Shazad. I would totally not go there.
But half of the time, whenever I just got angry over somebody driving in a very wrong manner, I would just, come closer and take a look. Always a lady. So, it's not my fault as well. That's what I experienced. But it's perfectly all right.
Stereotype. Totally stereotype.
It's perfectly all right.
Yes,
good
ladies,
women drivers
yes.
As well. My mom
You
drives
have been voted out.
It's perfectly all right. But okay,
Vetoed.
Since I've got these newspapers over here, so I think I'm going to talk about something else as well.
Very nice exit.
Nice
very
escape.
nice.
That's what it is.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Nicely
Senate
played.
rejects accountability ordinance with majority vote.
Yeah.
Then they say that Supreme Court focuses gifts exchanges between Prime Minister children. And then Sean says Pakistani movies should be shown in India too. I think that's.
Okay.
I think that needs to be done. Obviously, because of the fact, if you want to develop our own industry, the way they have developed and the way they are grasping it, I think that's what you need to do, because world is a global village now. I mean, there shouldn't be boundaries, there shouldn't be barriers. And then they say that one of the major causes of child labor is poverty. And 17% population lives below the poverty line as well. So I think that's something which we can discuss today. No?
I think so, and it's a topic that's actually very, very close to my heart, as I'm sure most Pakistanis feel very strongly about that. And it's especially when you're parents. If you're parents, then I know that most people have a very, very strong opinion on the topic of child labor. And as I was telling you, Shazad, I have been very active in the US. I've served on the board of GSRD,
Wow.
which is an organization that has been recognized by President Obama in the efforts of bringing awareness on the topic of human trafficking.
Wow.
And kind of, child labor is a part of that as well. Most of those children, it's heartbreaking to hear their stories, children and young teenage girls that are trafficked into the sex trade, which we will talk about a little bit today, but mostly we want to focus on child labor, which is a growing issue and concern in Pakistan.
Exactly, that's what it is. And other than that, I think there's human trafficking going on as well. But, since the major cause is poverty, and I think quite a lot of people within the society need to step up for that. There are different organizations, for example, UNICEF, United Nations International Children Education Fund, and then there are other organizations, Save the Children. They're working for this cause. But then as a matter of fact, and by the end of the day, you really need to have food for all those 7, 8 brothers and sisters waiting at home. And then I think the other problem which coincides with this one is that for all those people who live below the poverty line, I don't think they have another entertainment source, because all they do is reproduce.
Yeah.
So I think that's something which we need to talk about as well. We need to educate them, because without education, without it telling them that, okay, if you're already below the poverty line, how can you probably think that you're going to afford 7, 8, 9, 10 children?
Yes.
On average, every couple who's below the poverty line has at least got 8 or 7 children.
Yeah.
So I think we need to stop that too, and increasing population numbers, they're obviously not good for any growing or developing country's economy as well. So for this particular reason, we have been joined by very apt guests, very pertinent guests. I know they're all women, but they're all mothers as well, sisters as well. So they can talk from all walks of life.
And I was so excited to meet them earlier today, Shehzad, because one of the pet peeves I have is, being in the West and hearing about, okay, these are the problems of the East, these are the problems of Pakistan.
Yeah.
And they come up with one-size-fits-all kind of solutions, which just a lot of times does not apply to the socioeconomic fabric of Pakistan.
Exactly.
So why I was very excited was that these wonderful ladies that are joining us are actually giants if you look at the amount of service that they have already performed and the kind of work that they are doing for different social issues in Pakistan. So very, very excited to hear about their views and what we can accomplish together if we really truly understand how to tackle these different problems.
And
so it's just
that's very
wonderful.
well said as well. And then, when you're going to take a look at our guests, please don't be that anticipated. Yes, it's the anticipation build-up. But then I think these are the people who've broken those barriers. These are the people who've changed those stereotypes. Then these are the people who came up with a different mindset that, we as a member of the society can probably bring about quite a lot of good things.
Yes, absolutely.
Go ahead.
All right, so let me begin with the introductions. Our first guest today is Maliha Hussain. She is a social activist, has accomplished huge things already, which we will get to find out in just a moment. Sitting with her is Dr. Mariam Hashim Mubashir. She's a psychiatrist, also doing wonderful work in helping people gain mental health and help get over mental issues. And then on the last sofa, we have Iram Mumtaz. She's also a social activist and a remedial therapist. And when I said hello to her, I realized that I knew her 26 years ago. We met at a wedding, and our families are actually very closely connected, very close friends. Her sister is very closely involved in working with my family for helping children, putting them in schools, and we've taken garbage collectors. Children that were collecting garbage on the streets and put them in schools, and we work very closely with her sister.
And we do have those pictures as well, and you need to share that experience as well.
I will.
Because when we had a conversation about it, so see, that's what we are saying, that when we gel in as a society, what happens is that everybody takes responsibility. For example, the other day we had people from Girls Guide organization as well, and they have this motto, and they say, each one teach one. So if only one of us can take out an hour on daily basis, we can even teach people as well. But today we're going to stick to child labor. And the first thing which I'm going to ask is, what is the difference between, I think this is a question which will be posed to you, what is the difference, if there's a difference, in between child labor and children working?
Yeah, it's very important, first of all, to know the difference between child labor.
Yeah.
Any child who's working does not fall under the definition of child labor. Child labor is if the basic needs of a child are not met and he's forced into something which he doesn't want to do. He's not getting any educational, physically and mentally abused. While on the other hand, a child who is working, after school, he's going to school and he's not emotionally or psychologically affected by the kind of work which he's doing. He's just doing this work to support his family. That's perfectly fine. That is child work.
Okay.
That would not fall under the definition of child labor.
So child labor is when somebody forces you to work.
Yes.
So, and
yes.
what about all those people who get married forcefully as well? What do we call them?
Yeah, you can we can have another program on that. Wife labor.
I love that.
Wife labor. We can have a program.
But as a matter of fact, I know that was a joke, but it raises a point to me, and that point is that half of the time, half of the things over here in Pakistan are done forcefully.
Yeah.
I mean, if I wanted to be a doctor and my father wanted me to be an engineer, there was no way I would have been an engineer, right? That's what I'm saying. So this mindset is there.
Yeah.
What do we do about it? Let's start talking about it. Go ahead. You want to talk about it?
Sure. Feudal mindset becomes very problematic. And I was thinking, a lot of these people need to watch Superman.
Yeah.
With responsibility comes, with power comes responsibility, or
Yes,
something
absolutely.
like that. Not necessarily people coming from feudal families, but this feudal mindset is something we really need to get rid of. because people who have any kind of power, whether it's money or positional power, they feel like they have the right to abuse that power or use it the way they want to, and use or abuse people who they feel are beneath them. They can abuse them, they can make them do whatever they feel that these people should be doing, and in that process they end up abusing most of them, whether they're adults or children.
Maliha, do you think it comes from the fact that most of these, most people in our society feel that they are either abused or they're victimized, and then they turn around and do it to someone else that they feel is weaker than them?
Right, but it's just a matter of thinking about things. We are encouraged not to
change
use
of
our
mindset
brains.
is very important.
Change
Yes.
of mindset.
Yes, exactly.
And start using our brains. God has made all of us very intelligent. He has given or she has given us very good brains. We are intelligent people. We just need to start using our brains and think, am I the sort of person who wants to hurt other people? We talk about religion a lot in our society, in our country. No religion allows you to hurt another person,
Yes.
abuse another person, and especially when it comes down to children. Since we are talking about child labor today, why would any human being want to hurt a child? And if we really start thinking about it, I don't think anyone would want to do it. And
totally
a lot
agree.
of people say that it's education that really makes a difference, and because a lot of people in our country are not educated. But if you really look at it, I see a lot of educated people doing that too.
I think
I
it's
agree.
majority of the people who are educated are the ones who are actually doing it.
Yes,
That's
so-
what it is, because they feel the need of it too. But then, you very rightly mentioned that this mindset is there. Now, for example, if we talk about, I'm sorry, but I'll have to bring it up, I'll have to do justice to my work as well. Even if you talk about institutions, we do have this concept, even in the schools, concept of senior and junior. So once you were a junior, you get beaten by seniors or whatnot. Once you were a senior, that's what you were doing.
Yes.
That's how you reciprocate.
You
so
have
how
that
do you
positional
think?
power.
Yeah, how do you think that we can change this mindset? Do we have to work on, if we say the grassroots level? That means that we'll have to go back to the education system, schools. That's where we all started. How do you think that this mindset will change?
I think it needs to start from homes.
Absolutely.
How do we treat our children? How do we treat our employees at home? They are our employees. When we hire somebody to do our dishes or to clean our house or to drive our car, it's an employee-employer relationship.
Yeah.
Do we treat them like human beings who are just like us, or do we treat them differently? And if you are treating them with respect, that is what you are actually teaching your children, and that is what they will do when they grow up.
That's such
Or
an
even as
important.
children.
I so agree with what you're saying, Maliha, because it's one thing to teach your children by telling them stuff, reading them from books or textbooks, and sending them to schools. We're paying so much money sending our children to these fabulous schools and hoping that they're going to become wonderful human beings. And yet at home, we are setting examples that are completely contrary to
Exactly.
what we're trying to teach them.
Exactly,
And maybe
yes.
that's a question that's better suited to you, Dr. Mariam, because I have always it's another pet peeve of mine is that we tell our children to do one thing and then yet we do another. We want to women empowerment is a really big buzzword now. Everybody talks about women empowerment. Yet in my mind, an empowered woman is not just someone who's strong herself, but she actually is a role model of a perfect human being. What should a strong woman be doing? She doesn't bully children or other people. She actually helps empower. So what do you think about that? What role can women play in raising strong Pakistanis?
That's a good question that you've put up, but I'd like to start with the quotation from Nelson Mandela.
Yeah,
So
go
he
ahead.
said that there is no keener revelation to a society's soul than the way that it treats its children. So when you talk about child labor, basically there are two virtues that I would like to focus on first. Number one is health, which means physical, emotional, spiritual, mental health. And the second is deprivation, depriving them of schooling and interfering and involving them in activities which interfere with their schooling and development as a whole. So you basically, in child labor, you're depriving children of their dignity. And unfortunately, coming to your question, we still globally have not been able to provide a conducive environment for the nurturing of children and their development as well. So as a mother, there's this theory by this psychiatrist John Bowlby, which is called attachment theory. I'm not going to go into depth of that,
Let us know
but
about
generally, what you're talking about, the mother and child's relationship since birth, since the womb actually, that is what the child bases his further relationships upon. So that secure base as a child, between a
very
child and a mother, is necessary for the child's role as an adult in the society. So the mothers, of course, if there's a lot of displacement, what you're referring to is displacement. If I get scolded by somebody, I'm going to take it out on somebody else.
Of course, yeah.
So if the mother who's under pressure and has not been empowered and is not allowed to work, or whatever the problems are, or she's facing domestic violence somewhere, she would provide the similar role model for her children.
Yes.
And this vicious circle goes on, in which children will be involved in laboring and in trafficking and other
And
kinds
then
of
there are
debt
different
bondage.
dimensions to it as well. For example, if you get scolded from your mother, a kid like me runs to his grandfather, oh, look what mom's doing. And then she gets scolded as well, and then you get beaten again. But it's perfectly
Absolutely.
all right.
That's a little far from the topic right now,
Yeah.
but generally, when we talk about the society and child labor, yes, children are involved for debt in bondage, and then they're involved for trafficking, and as you spoke
Yeah,
about.
but as a matter of fact, where I wanted to come now is within that area. What type of emotional trauma do they suffer from, or what type of depression or anxiety they face in their life, and then do they even get rid of it?
Shehzad, the most important thing is that the personality starts developing ever since the child comes out of the womb.
Yeah.
And by the age of 5 years, mostly, the basic mold of the personality is made up. And then you can sort of change it and model it and whatnot changes come in. But the most important thing is at that sensitive age, especially before adolescence and before teenage years, this is like the most sensitive period in which the personality traits are developing. So children who are not subjected to any relaxation, children subjected to hard work, industry, business, where they're required to produce more than they've actually received in terms of education, in terms of love, in terms of attachment, they tend to develop illnesses like mental illnesses, psychiatric illnesses, depression, as you mentioned, anxiety. Then their personalities turn into either antisocial personalities or impulsive borderline personalities.
Yeah.
Then the incidence of post-traumatic stress disorder is very high in children involved in labor, because child labor is indirectly related to abuse as well, physical abuse, sexual abuse.
What are some of the symptoms of this type of PTSD?
PTSD, of course, is a whole set. You can have a whole program on PTSD, but definitely flashbacks of incidents that happened as a child. Then there's autonomic arousal, disturbances in biological functioning, in disturbances in behavior in children, weeping spells,
And I think they don't even get to notice that as well as a human. I mean, for all those people who work like that, I think they can't even notice that. And they do not have anybody around them who can actually tell them that this is probably what is wrong with you. So I think it's word of mouth which is going to help as well. And since we are on
Awareness.
World this morning,
Absolutely.
it's an English channel, we're not even going to go to the masses of Pakistan. So for all those people who are out there, if you think you can do something, spread the word, make people aware about it. But let's talk about all of those laws which are in place as well, because we've got a list of them. I don't know whether they're working or whether they're in place or not. So first of all, we had the Factories Act in 1934, then the West Pakistan Shops and Establishments Ordinance 1969, the Employment of Children Act 1991, and then the Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1992, then the Punjab Compulsory Education Act 1994. So all of these acts are there, laws are there.
Yes.
But what's happening?
See, it's the job of our parliament to make laws, the government make laws. It's our responsibility to use them, make sure that they're properly implemented.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy to do that, but it has started happening in Pakistan now.
Yeah.
We have an excellent example of the workplace harassment laws that are being implemented throughout the country. And if one or two laws can be implemented, the others can also be implemented.
I was also very amazed to learn about what you were sharing earlier about the amendment that it is now compulsory for every child to be in school. Could you talk about that a little bit and what role we can play to make sure that it is properly
Yes,
implemented?
there was a constitutional amendment where all children between the ages of 5 and 16 have to be in schools. They have to be educated, and the government is supposed to provide free education to all children. So as citizens, the government is supposed to do what they are supposed to do.
Yes.
But we as citizens need to make sure that if we see a child out of school,
Yeah.
we need to do something about it.
Yes.
Find out why aren't they in school and talk to their parents, talk to our law enforcement agencies. But you know, if all of us start doing it, it's only a matter of time. Things will
Chain
change.
reaction,
No, but then, okay, I'm sorry,
Okay.
but I've got a different opinion over here. And it's not
Okay.
an opinion, it's probably a judgment as well, because half of the time, all those people whom I visit on daily basis, what I've seen is all those people who work at their homes are probably kids. So what are we doing? I mean, why are we even saying that? I mean, for example, if you go out to somebody's place, the tea boy will come in, he's probably 11, 12 years old, and, sir, please, I think we are even forcing them to work as well. That's something I'll pick
Can
up
I-
on. We need to go for a short break.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go for a short break. Don't go anywhere. When you guys are going to come back, I think we are going to do a reality check over here. Good morning.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to World This Morning on this very foggy and chilly morning today. and hopefully everybody's enjoying tea and maybe pakoras. I had pakoras yesterday. It was a wonderful weather for that.
Even I had pakoras yesterday as
All
well.
right, good. So before we went on the break, Shehzad, you posed what I think is a loaded question, because I have a totally different opinion on that. And Iram and I were actually talking about that earlier before we started on the show. So I was sharing with her that, you know, when I was here, my mother was alive a couple of years ago. She always had like a 10, 12-year-old girl with her who took care of her, you know, running errands and running some chores and stuff like that. And my daughters were visiting, and they are, of course, born and raised in America, and they were just like, oh, Mom, this is child labor. Why is Nano doing this? And this is so wrong, and this is... So, you know, we sat her down, we talked to her family also, and she was being educated because we do have those schools. So this little girl was being educated. But the moment we even mentioned to her family that she should go back to her family and not work, they were devastated. They said, no way. The girl was crying. And then she talked about the fact that there were like 9 brothers and sisters. They didn't even get 3 square meals in a day. And so she actually loved being with my mom, where she was getting good food. She was warm in winter. She was, you know, in an air-conditioned room in the summer.
No, but that's why we differentiate in between child labor and, you know, children working. So,
yeah.
so that's what the difference
Right.
is.
So it's kind of like, what do we do here? And that's what Iram actually has faced quite a bit, I know, in her work. That what do we do? Do we just do away with children working in homes and
Or
doing
just let
stuff
it
like,
be?
what is the solution here? How do you draw that fine line?
First of all, I think we need to practice what we preach. You know, like I agree with Shehzad that we talk about all these issues, the debates, drawing room debates, social media debates, you know, but what actually are we doing? What is the ground reality?
Yes.
We know the ground reality, and I have to start from myself.
Yes.
I have no right to come and sit here and preach and, you know, give these sermons, oh my God, child labor, this and that. So that is what I started in my own humble capacity after 2005 earthquake. There were a lot of, you know, like affectees. And so being an educationist, we decided to, you know, start this shelter home for girls who were affected by the earthquake. And alhamdulillah, it's been 10 years, and then we started a school by the name of Ideas, where we are looking after the needs. You know, it's a shelter home. We provide them quality education, food, love, affection, everything.
Yes.
So I think each one of us, you know, we are the society. We make the society. So when I just can't point a finger at you guys that you are not doing this. What am I doing?
Yes.
So first of all, each one of us need to play our part.
Yes.
Starting from education. You see, a child learns what he lives with. So why can't we have a chapter in our curriculum about child labor? How many children know about child labor?
Very good idea.
Children
yes.
are, you know, I mean, they are so sensitive to others' needs. So it's
Like,
how,
why did my daughters immediately recognize it? Because there's
they
so much
point
awareness
out,
in the
but
US.
as
Yes.
adults, you know, we talk about a lot of things, and what
Yes.
are we actually doing? Like you just gave an example of your mother, like looking after this family. So I try to do the same, whoever like I employ as domestic help. So no matter how many children they have, I make sure that they go to school. So each one of us can take responsibility of at least one family.
Yes.
Each one
So
teach one.
charity, yeah, each one teach one. Charity begins at home, and government has to play, you know, like pivotal role in this. You know, legislation is needed, curriculum. You know, having a chapter on child labor, and of course implementation of all the legislation. That is very important, and each one of us, even the children, they need to know about their rights. You know, the example of Iqbal Masih is there. You know, he was sold at the age of 4 years, but he, you know, ran away from bonded labor, and he, you know, was able to, you know, he became a voice for bonded laborers.
Yes.
You know, and he freed, I think, more than 30,000 children. So if a child can do so much,
Yes.
why can't we do the same?
Absolutely.
You see, we are the privileged lot.
And,
we can
and
do a
over
lot.
here, I think I really need to talk about this because of the fact that, you know, in Sialkot, we all know that sports goods are manufactured. So the Chamber of Commerce and the industrialists, all of them, what they did was that they came up with a plan that, okay, you know, just because their stitching cannot be done with bigger hands and it needs to be kids, so what they did was they made schools for them, They made education free and health free for all of those kids who were working within the industry. So I think that's not child labor literally, because people
that
quite a
is-
lot of times
yeah,
highlight that.
that is
too.
children
actually-
working. Yeah.
But
this
what a
is-
good solution it is.
It's a
It's
skills
a wonderful
acquisition, basically.
solution.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to ask you, Dr. Mariam, is, living in the U.S., one of the things I see, Shehzad,
Sure.
is the sense of entitlement in the younger generation of Americans is incredible. They don't want to do anything, but they want everything in return. And I'm dealing with it myself.
That's
I have
how
a
credit
teenage
card
daughter.
works, right?
Well, and it's a problem now
Yeah.
in the U.S. because that generation really doesn't want to do any work, but their sense of entitlement is through the roof. So let's talk about the fact, if children, let's say they do start working, they are being educated, they do get some playtime as well. What kind of an effect does it have on the mental and emotional growth of a child if they are working? Because it's still a responsibility, right?
On a lighter note, when I told my husband yesterday, he's not here, so I messaged him. I said, I've been invited for this program on child labor, and he's like, regret it. And I'm like, why? And he's like, till you don't stop telling your daughter to do this task and this task, child labor. So I started laughing, and I said, that's not labor,
Yeah.
that's training.
Yeah.
So skills acquisition, which helps the child in building a
I
productive
love
life.
that example.
Yeah.
is
It's
That's
skill
great. That's
acquisition.
great.
I love that. Yes.
So I'm giving Hashim credit for this there. So basically, providing them with the skills for a productive life. You can't actually have the children put their hand on their hand and sit and get everything that they want,
Yeah.
whatever they demand. So actually teaching children to work. On the other hand, child labor basically is, we need to find out that there's a boundary that the people are crossing, people who are employing them. That boundary should not be crossed. Again, with the footballs, I don't think there's anything wrong in involving kids in that training, as long as you're providing them good education.
Exactly.
But a recent research does say that even in part-time work and education, 12% performance of children goes down. So, even at home, when we make our own children work, fix the bed, put the utensils or the crockery, help in washing the clothes and
Yeah.
everything, there's nothing wrong with that. Labor is if we're depriving them, interfering with their development, and making them work instead of providing them
You
with
know, on the contrary, on the other side, since we have talked quite a lot about West, because my dear friends from West as well, but what I've seen over there is once you get done with your GCSEs as well, so it's mandatory for you to to work somewhere for
Burger
certain,
King, Pizza Hut,
for
it's
certain
absolutely.
hours, and it's a part of your training. That's what you call skill acquisition. See, so that's perfectly all right, but please make sure it's not forced.
Shehzad, with the domestic workers, the biggest problem becomes there's a vicious circle. They are not able to, they're not educated, so they need to work.
Okay, so quick solutions, because we have to do another thing as well.
It's
a small
basically
one.
like a multidisciplinary approach, because there's a multifactorial causation, so multidisciplinary approach. This is not the responsibility of one individual. This is not an individual basis. This is a global issue, national issue, international issue. So at every level, each and every person needs to, I think Madam would like to speak on the laws and whatever
But very
implication is
quickly.
required.
Yeah.
Yeah, my stance is always the same. What are we going to do about it? To eradicate these issues.
Or are we doing about it?
What are we doing about it? We have some laws. We need more laws, especially to stop domestic child labor. On the one hand, you are saying that every child has a right to get an education, but if we are employing them at home, having a law and then making sure that it gets implemented, and we are the ones who will implement it. Some laws are being implemented, we need more laws, and then we will implement them. That is one thing, and I think another very important thing is our family planning departments. They need to be activated a lot more,
Yeah.
because people, like you said, are having
Only if
8,
they
10,
don't get
12
beaten.
children.
With the consent
Yeah,
of
but still,
religious scholars.
we still adding another chapter to children's books,
Exactly. That would work.
teaching them.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
media
Your turn.
plays on
Yeah.
media. Talking about not having too many children. If you can't afford to feed them,
Yes.
what
But
was
they
that?
say, यार
name?
अल्लाह की तरफ से ये तो रिश्त तो साथ ही आता है. It's perfectly all right. We're
खिला
very
नहीं
short of time.
सकते.
We're very short of time.
If you can't feed them, this was a line in Bowl, Shoaib Mansoor's. खिला नहीं सकते तो पैदा क्यों करते हो? Like, why do you give birth to children if you can't feed them?
Exactly.
So we need to be responsible about that too.
Exactly. Your turn.
Yeah, I think being an educationist, education can really play a pivotal role in changing this whole scenario.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
But
just liked. Sorry.
You just got a
Sorry,
text
please,
message.
please.
no, no, go ahead.
Dr.
No,
Mariam
no,
just
it's
got a
fine.
text message. Yeah.
No, I didn't get a text. I just wanted to share a poem that I wrote.
quickly,
Yeah,
quickly.
so this is 2 years back. I was picking up my daughter from school and I saw this little child,
Yeah.
probably a domestic servant. And I wrote this poem, it really touched my heart. It's called The Other Side of the Road. So it says, as he stood near the bus stop one day, gazing around with nothing to say, a tempted heart, a shattered dream, wishful thoughts out in a stream. He watched the children play and jump, while he searched through the garbage dump. Were they the fortunate ones, he thought? Was he the unworthy of the lot? In thoughts he sat upon his stall, startled with a voice to his call. He spoke no words, had nothing to say. He had to work at what ahead him lay. He took his brush and with all his might, the rich man's shoes he polished bright. All dressed up were the children for school, himself in rags on a broken stool. As he saw the school bus disappear, in silence he wept without a tear. A thought that came down to his mind, if only the other side of the road he would find.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
That's really good.
Absolutely.
Very well written, and thank God that people have started feeling
Heart-touching.
about it as well. That's what it is. Well, thank you very much, ladies, for being a part of our show today. And it was a lovely conversation. I'm going to take back a lot at my home as well. I think.
I
same
am
goes with
actually
you.
very excited. I can't believe how much work is being done and how encouraging it is that, Shahzad, always the first step is always about recognizing that we have a problem,
Exactly.
which we have done, and these amazing, just in a show we've been able to come up with amazing
So at
stuff.
least we're not
So
going through a
there's-
denial
there's
phase.
high hope, yes.
That's what it is.
We are
But
not in
thank you very much,
denial.
ladies, once again. But ladies and gentlemen, we do not want to forget that. So we do have a fruit of the day, but this time it's not a fruit, it's a dry fruit.
It's a dry
And
fruit.
she's going to do the honors of the health benefits
Yes,
of it.
because this is my favorite
very
dry fruit of all
expensive.
times.
Yeah.
Yes, chilgoza. We're talking about
Pine
chilgoza. Also, yes, pinus. In the US, we call it pine nuts.
Yeah.
And it is, of course, known as chilgoza here. In Persian, it means 40 nuts in one cone. That was a very interesting fact. It is native to the northwestern Himalayan in eastern Afghanistan, Pakistan, and northwest India. And it grows at elevations between 1,800 and 3,000,
That's
almost
quite a lot
3,000
of
meters.
information. I
Yes.
think moving on to benefits, improves cardiovascular health, weight loss, antioxidants, improves eye health.
Yeah, good for skin, and it's very good for people with allergies. But I got stuck on weight loss. I didn't go past that. I love that.
Oh, it's all right. So I think I'll probably buy some on my way back as well. So ladies and gentlemen, that's about it for today. Please make sure that you guys look after yourselves, and if there's something going around just around you in terms
And
of child
remember to
labor.
drive carefully today.
Yeah,
Yes,
in
as
terms
long
of
as we
child
have
labor,
fog.
please make sure that you go out, you stop people who are actually pushing that onto them. That's what it is. Thank you very much once again, ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank
It was a
you.
lovely show once again. So do not forget to write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning.
WTM.
World This Morning.
Yes, I
On
remember
Twitter,
it.
it's on Twitter, it's
The
World
same.
This Morning
World
without a
This
G.
Morning, yes.
On Daily Motion and YouTube, it's
World This Morning.
that's what it is. So catch up with the repeat at 5:11 p.m.
I'm a slow
Till-
learner.
Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.